Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Denise and it is such a pleasure to have you here today. So I drew a bit of a blank when I was sitting down to create the video today. I'm normally a little bit more organized and I have a theme and I even have a structure and some notes written down. But I've been very busy, but I still wanted to do this today. So I sat and meditated, and this week I've actually put my meditation video up before my coaching one, which is what I'm doing now. And so I actually sat and meditated with that meditation, which is a colourful chakra meditation that always helps to it's like it activates my creative parts of me. So I can't even put a sentence together now, but anyway, that's okay. We'll just keep going. So bear with me. So what came up was that I really wanted to do a 4-card reading on one. Why is this happening? Why am I procrastinating? And two, to help you use my card decks. So this is, I'm going to use the Secret Language of Light today. And this is specifically about healing with the decks, or healing with Oracle or Tarot, depending on, doesn't really matter, whatever card deck you have and whatever you want to use. So healing with the cards, it's slightly different to reading with the cards. Readings are very much about getting a message and the interpretation of the person that's reading the cards. Healing is using the cards as a mirror to mirror back anything that is unconscious within us, something that we're not aware of, to bring to the surface so that we can work with that and heal that, because those things are holding us back. They are in our shadow. And I may even do a little, it's all right, I'm making this up as I go along. I may even do, I will also use the secret language of darkness so that we can get two perspectives as well. I often get asked, as a soul coach, people often will say to me, I know I've got this habit, I've got this thing that I do that I don't want to be doing anymore, but I keep doing it. Why do I keep doing it? So it's a big question. Now, always remember that a habit is actually something that is unconscious. So a habit is something you just do without much thought. You just you respond to something or you react to something and you activate that belief. And then that becomes a habit. You react in a certain way. So you can think of them as a coping mechanism to help you in that moment. And so habits only remain habits when they are unconscious. Once you become aware of it, and once you can, when people say to me, I know I've got this habit, but I keep doing it. Why do I keep doing it? Then it's not a habit anymore. It's a choice. You're choosing to do it. So why are you choosing to do it? And this is not a judgment. This is just something that happens. So don't be harsh on yourself either. Go easy on yourself. The reason that it happens, the reason that you keep repeating this, is because you believe that there are more positives to this habit than the alternative. Even if you want something really different, even if you want to get rid of this habit, somewhere along the line, somewhere deep inside of you, you still believe that doing this habit has many more positives to it than not doing it or doing something different or an alternative. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so think about, I'll use me as an example, procrastination. um, sometimes I have big projects and, pretty much this is what's happened to me today. I'm not ready to do the video today, and yet I'm still doing it because I've made a promise to myself that I will keep doing it. And everything in me is saying to me, you're looking unprofessional, you're umming and ahhing, you're not giving people, quick, succinct information. There's a bit of waffling going on. And, and in the end, that's not really got anything to do with you. That's my stuff. And whatever you think about me is what you think about me. And you can watch this or you can turn it off. So really, that isn't an issue, but I've made it an issue. It's become part of my procrastination. And so what is that telling you? That I'm worried more about what other people think about me than what I think about me. So that's all hooked up in the procrastination. So maybe I'll procrastinate because I don't want to look like a fool. I don't want to look silly. I don't want people to think badly of me. So, and again, that's my stuff. It's not yours, so don't worry about that. But it's just things to ask yourself. Why do you procrastinate? Because in the end, what you think about me doesn't really matter to my life. And my work is about helping to empower you to create a life based on your decisions. So if I'm procrastinating, I'm being a hypocrite. So now I'm being harsh on myself, but that's okay. I'm just trying to help you to understand what goes on underneath, the motivations for keeping habits. And so there's that one, and there's also the fact that I don't want to feel uncomfortable because I don't feel worthy enough or good enough or I've done enough, that I have to look a certain way, I have to be a certain way. And again, that's all making it about me, and this is about you, not me. So in the end, none of that really matters. But anyway, I'm digressing. So if you find yourself doing something that you're sabotaging yourself for, really that's a choice. Once you become aware of it, and I do the same thing with food. Food is another example as well. If I work really hard on something and I don't get the result that I want, or if I have not charged enough money, or if it's just there's some sort of imbalance going on. I've given more energy than has come back. Everything in me says, oh, I deserve nice food now. I deserve a reward. And, and I say to myself now, Denise, you're not a dog. You don't deserve a reward. You chose to do that. But I was using it as an excuse to eat nice things because then it would sort of somehow bring things back into balance for me. And then I would feel justified in the eating of the food. But of course, all of that's temporary because habits generally, as I said, they are coping mechanisms to soothe ourselves. So it's a temporary thing. And you'll need to keep doing it every time, which is why it becomes a habit. However, once you're aware of it, it's a choice. It is a choice. And so I have now made a pact to myself that I will not eat within 2 hours of doing my work. So, I can have a cup of coffee or I can have a green tea because I like my green tea, or a glass of water, but I will not eat. So and that's just one small thing to help me break the habit. And it was actually sitting with the cards that helped me to understand that helped to give me another choice and my higher self as well. And to start with, I made it an hour, or to start with, I made it half an hour. And then I made it an hour. Now I've made it 2 hours. So, and this is the thing, you want to just go easy on yourself. Anyway, I'm waffling on now, but I really want to help you understand that if you keep saying, I do this thing and I don't know why I do it and I don't want to be doing it, know that you're aware of it now. You've taken it out of the unconscious, because a habit is really only something that happens in the unconscious, and you've brought it into the awareness. So you're now aware when you do it, and now it's a choice. But don't go hard on yourself. Go easy on yourself. This is just to bring this into your awareness and to bring power back to you so that you can make a choice. So every time you say this about something, and it also goes for the same thing with, people will say, I don't know why I do what I do. That's just who I am. And it's like, well, that will always tell me that you don't know yourself that well. You need to take some time and really get to know you. And why is this thing triggering you? Why is it upsetting you? Because it's really easy to throw the blame onto other people or other things, and instead of looking at yourself, because obviously this can be challenging work. This can be difficult work, and I commend you, and I just want to give you a big cuddle through the camera to just say, you're doing such great work just to be here and open yourself up to a different perspective. So let's do a reading with the secret language of light. Now, whenever I'm doing a reading, I always like to set the scene in the wherever I am in the room, or whatever space I'm in. I always really like to have the 4 elements around me. So generally, that's fire, earth, water, air. So fire is a candle. Air is aromatherapy or incense. Water, I like to have some flowers and some water, but do it however you want to. And I also like to have crystals around me, obviously, as well, seeing as I've always got lots of crystals. Crystals for me, incidentally, are companions on my journey, just like the animals in my life. I just got this notion of me back in the 70s when I was a kid and I had pet rocks. And it's like it was a thing back in the 70s. People had a pet rock. And obviously I was already aware of the sentient being that was in the crystals. So anyway, so the 4 elements. The 5th element is ether or spirit, your higher self, and the energy, the life force that is all around us. So I always like to have those of the 4 physical elements, and the 5th one being ether or spirit. And you can do that however you want to. You can just close your eyes and just intend that the room be filled with a beautiful light. It can be white light, it can be whatever colour you want. Use whatever favourite colour that you have. So we'll do that right now if you like. So we'll just take a deep breath in. I always like to place my hands on my heart, but you can do whatever feels right for you. And so today I ask that the room be filled with beautiful white light, the universal life force. And I can feel that beautiful unconditional love flowing around me as it pours into the room, illuminating everything in the room. I can feel myself and the whole room being lifted into the higher realms of love, of no judgment. And I open myself to the possibilities that all things are possible, and open my mind and my heart to the wisdom that will flow today from my higher self, from my guides, angels, light beings, loved ones, from the whole universe. Namaste. And again, you can do whatever feels right for you. I always just like to bring light into the room, and all of my guides, angels, light beings, loved ones. When I'm doing it for myself, I generally name them as Astar is the name of my higher self. And depending on what I'm working on, if I want to get rid of obstacles, I would bring in Ganesh. If I want unconditional love, I would bring in Kuan Yin. Wisdom, I might bring in Buddha. So but you don't have to be that pedantic. That's just me. So, but really it's about setting your intentions. This is the result that I would like from this. So could you please help me? Okay, so now that we've set this beautiful space in the room, and also you would notice that I was talking about lifting ourselves. We don't ever want to bring light around us to protect us, to protect yourself. It's a bit of an old way of starting readings, and also protection meditations or invocations. That there was this, you bring all this beautiful light and you surround yourself with it, and you use it as a protection. The only issue I have with that is that if you're feeling like you need to be protected, somewhere inside of you, you feel like you're a victim. You feel like something can hurt you from the outside. And this work is all about lifting ourselves into the authentic us. Your soul, the authentic you is that beautiful part of you that is timeless. It's spaceless. It's eternal. There's no judgment. It just is. And so wherever you are in this universe, whenever you are, whatever you're choosing to be, whatever vehicle or container you choose to pour your soul into, you'll always recognize you. You'll always be you. And so, go easy on yourself. And that's what we want to move ourselves to. That's what the light helps us to be, because the light is that energy of unconditional love. So as soon as you feel that, you match your vibration to that, and you become that, and you become illuminated. You become enlightened, which means you've become lighter. You've just got rid of all your baggage and all the stuff of being here on earth. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what we want to experience while we're here. But while we're looking for answers that are from the higher realms, we want answers that take in everything. We want an answer, a solution to have the same amount of positives and the same amount of negatives, because then you're taking into consideration everything, and you will get a full, beautiful answer or solution that will feel fulfilling and satisfying. So, and that's actually the fifth dimensional point of view. So a fifth dimensional point of view, it's like it lifts you to a place where you can see the whole picture. And it's like your mind says, now I get it. Now I see why that occurred. Now, but you don't need that to move on in your life. But that's the fifth dimensional perspective. So I'm just going to quickly talk a little bit about that. So we've gone on a strange journey today, and I will do a reading in a moment, but it's a little bit like you can't see the forest for the trees. So when you're looking for something and you're in the middle of the forest, you're in the middle of all of the problem. You've got trees all around you which are representative of all the elements of the issue at hand, all the good and all the bad, and you're in the middle of it all, and you're surrounded by it all, and And so it's you can only see what you can see in front of you, and all you've got is trees everywhere, so you cannot see the forest, you can't see the solution for the trees. So what you need to do is step out of the forest, and then you can see the whole forest, and then you'll get the answer. Now, that's what our ego does. That's what splitting from ourself does. So the ego allows you to step away from yourself, to see yourself in a different perspective, from a different perspective, just to see yourself from something outside of yourself. And that's what the ego does. Otherwise, we would all just be in our bodies and we would never be able to experience contrast. Now, that's what we do when we're in spirit. And it's a beautiful space to be. But one of the reasons that we come to Earth is to experience this contrast so that we can create bigger things on the Earth. Obviously, I can't digest that, but obviously, so that we can create bigger things for the expansion of our soul, for this Earth, for the whole universe, for our guides and angels and light beings as well, because they come along on the journey with us. And obviously I can't digest it because I've forgotten what I was saying now. I've gone on another tangent somewhere. So obviously we're meant to do the reading. And I know that that's frustrating because it's like having an old person starting a story and then they don't give you the answer. But don't worry, we'll come back to it in a minute. So I'm being very vulnerable today and just allowing this to go wherever it goes. So yes, let's do the reading. Okay. I also decided, sorry, just before we do this, that I wasn't going to edit this today. So forgive me for all of the waffling. But anyway, just allow yourself to be entertained and have a laugh at this silly person making themselves vulnerable. Okay, so let's give the cards a shuffle. Now, you can shuffle however you want to. You can put the cards all over a table if you can't shuffle. And obviously these cards are bigger, so I can't get my hands to shuffle them this way. So just turn them up this way and just shuffle them like that. I never look that tidy when I'm shuffling. I look at some people who shuffle the cards online and I think, oh, they look so professional. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You just shuffle for however you can shuffle, because this is really just about moving the cards around. It's about bringing energy into the cards so that they will move into whatever way they need to move into. Now, something I always ask myself when I'm shuffling is I'll stop and I'll say, okay, do I still need to shuffle? And I'll either get a yes or a no, and I just got to keep shuffling then. Have I finished shuffling? No. So I'm keeping shuffling, and you just shuffle for as long as you feel you want to. And obviously if cards drop out as well, that's an extra little message for you, like all of those ones that just fell on the floor. I really think Spirit's having a bit of fun with me today, so let me just pick them up. I'm coming back. There we go. Oh dear. So I this is what fell on the floor. Authentic truth, soul family. Yeah, they're having a bit of a giggle with me today. Visualize, so that maybe this is all about seeing things from a different perspective. And manifestation, so that, obviously whatever we are, we manifest. The energy we put out is the energy that we get back. And of course, joy. So I need to have some fun with this as well. Okay, so I'm just going to shuffle them again. So as I said, when you drop cards, when cards fall out, and generally there's not that many that do, you can just have a look at them for special, and you'll get an extra special message as well. Obviously, what you needed in that moment. It's like seeing 11:11 in that moment. Okay, right. Do I need to shuffle? Keep shuffling. No. Okay. So now I'm going to ask, do I need to cut the deck? And I've just got no. And that's something I always ask as well. And look, you can cut the deck however you want, in half, in threes, in whatever. It doesn't matter. I generally just do it in half. But this is about practicing. I've been doing this for 25 years. So I have my own way of doing that. I have perfected. Well, perfected is the wrong word, but I'll say perfected over the years, because perfected is not the right word, because we're constantly changing and shifting. So the way that I do readings now is quite different to the way that I did right back at the very beginning. And that's okay, because we're constantly changing and learning more and becoming more. Okay, so we've shuffled. Now, I'm going to ask the question today, what's holding, well, what is holding me back? But what are the positives in my procrastination? Why is it something that I keep doing? Okay, so I've shuffled. So now I'm going to take the 4 top cards. Again, you can take the cards from wherever you want to. Some people like to fan them out and choose them, but I'm just going to take the 4 top cards. We're going to have past, present, future, and the higher message. Okay, or the healing. We'll say the healing. Okay, so past is the nourish card. Present is light beings. The future card is create space. And the higher message is whispers, or the healing. The healing, what I need to do to heal my procrastination. And maybe this reading is for you too today. Okay, so the past. So this is always telling you what you were doing in the past that kept that belief going. And so the past is about the actions that you were taking up to this moment now. So, I'm just having a little giggle because the nourish card. I think I was constantly, and this is just my perception obviously, that I was nourishing those beliefs because they made me feel better in the moment. And obviously this card is about nourishing yourself, looking after yourself, because as you learn to look after yourself, you help others to look after the earth themselves. And the more light, the more we nourish ourselves, the more light we anchor onto the earth for the healing of ourselves and for the healing of all. So obviously for me, I nourished that belief as much as I loved everything else in my life. It's like it's a part of me, and I have to keep that going. I was obviously thinking that it was nourishing me as well, that it was making me feel better. Like I was saying about the food, that if I felt out of balance, I would eat food. And the same thing with the procrastination. So obviously there was a part of me that was thinking that it's better to procrastinate because sorry, I'm just getting a message. Because what I used to say was that, well, there's no point starting something if it's not going to be perfect. Oh. As I'm saying that out loud, it's hitting me straight in the heart. And that was also what my father used to say to me. So, and of course, I would always tell everyone to just start, just begin, just, because you will get better as you go along. We can't all be perfect at the beginning. It's like if you look back on some of my old videos from YouTube, some that are probably about 10 years old now, they're horrendous, but I've left them there. One, so that I can see how far I've come, and two, so other people can see that as well, and that you do get better as you do things, because that's what practice is. The meditation is the same thing. We have a meditation practice so that it's to help us get better at becoming more of ourself, of coming back to our center. So that's the past card. So hopefully that helps you understand something about you as well. Have a look at the colors as well. Whenever you're choosing cards, look at the colors. I mean, blue for me is very much about my throat chakra. So what wasn't I speaking? What wasn't I listening to? Probably wasn't listening to myself. Where was my communication a bit blocked or thwarted? And there's also water here. I'm a sun sign, water sign. My sun sign is Scorpio, which is a water sign. It's making me sound as contradictory as I can be. I can be a walking contradiction. But that water is very much about just learning to go with the flow and understanding that my emotions are a feedback system to help me understand where I am in relation to my center, to the truth of me, and instead of just reacting. If an emotion comes up and I don't like the way it feels, I will procrastinate or eat. So we all have our coping mechanisms, but understand that those coping mechanisms have become habits that we've set in place because something is out of balance underneath, and it's actually holding you away from you. So anyway, that's something to think about. That's the past card. So that was the energy. So I was actually nourishing those beliefs, probably because they made me feel better in the moment. And that's brought us to the moment, which is light beings. So that's the light beings card. And so this is a little reminder that we are never alone, that our light beings are always around us. And they are, it's like if you see this beautiful big face here, to me this is the energy of the authentic me. You can think of this as being the oversoul, which is like the larger part of my soul family. We're all in this together. Of course, we're all one anyway, but we're all looking at it from a different point of view. But a soul family and the oversoul of the soul family is we're all sort of working on a similar theme. And so we have that beautiful thing in common, which is what soulmates have in common when you meet them on the earth. And also, always remember that a soulmate doesn't have to be a human either. They can be an animal, it can be a crystal, it can be a tree, it can be anything that you have a deep connection with that helps you to come back to your center. That's a soulmate. And so it's like this beautiful oversoul here. This is the authentic me, if you want to call it that, the energy of my soul, or the larger part of me. And it is constantly, it's like it's focused on the earth at me, and it is constantly shining that to me. So it's shining the truth of me. Your oversoul is shining the truth of you. Your higher self, your light beings, loved ones, are constantly shining the truth of you, the authenticity of you to you, so that you can tune into it. Just like we used to with the old tuning radios. For people that are old enough to remember, you used to have to tune in a radio. You'd get static, and then you just tune it in. And that still happens with radio, of course. And you have to get right into the right frequency to really hear it clearly. And so this is the same thing. This is about us tuning in to our soul frequency so that you can hear the truth of you, which is being broadcast in every moment of every day and every evening. Just like all the television stations or the radio stations, we know that when you're watching something or listening to something, there's millions of other stations, there's millions of other podcasts going on these days, there's millions of all sorts of things, but when you're tuned into one thing, that's what you're listening to. So just because you're listening to you doesn't mean that nothing else exists, and this is always being broadcast. You just have to tune in. When we're focused on the other things, of course, we're not tuned in. So for me, this is a little reminder that in this present, I procrastinate because I feel alone, because I feel separate from, because I don't feel enough, which means that I'm not tuned in to the broadcast that my light beings are sending to me. I'm overeating, or I'm reaching for something sweet because the joy in my life is fallen away, again, because I'm not connecting to the authentic me. I'm not tuned into my light being. So this is a little reminder for me that I need to take the time to just take a few deep breaths and tune in to the broadcast of my oversoul, my soul beings, soul family, light beings, loved ones, that they're broadcasting to me all the time. So just know that. So you're never alone. If we ever feel really alone, it's because you've split from yourself. You're focused on what somebody else tells you is right for you. When I was doing my Insight Timer Live, I do live meditations on Thursdays on Insight Timer. Somebody asked me, it came up that I've been married twice and I'm single now, and someone asked me why I was single in quite a, it felt like quite an aggressive way. You know, why are you single? You know, you're spiritual, you should have a partner. And look, I could have just taken it that way, but it sort of felt, but anyway, doesn't matter. That's just what I got from that. And I don't need to justify anything in my life. But of course, for me, this is the first time in my life for a very long time that I've been okay with being by myself. And for a very long time I didn't, because I got sucked into the belief that people told me, oh, you're much happier with a partner. When someone loves you, it's lovely. But, you know, your light beings love you all the time. We have to do is tune in. And I'm not saying don't have a relationship, because relationships are the most amazing experiences to have as a human. You know, it's that mirror that's very close, that reflecting you back to you. You learn so much about yourself and how to become a better human, how to love better, how to be better. But I was going about relationships in a way that had been taught to me that was detrimental to me. I was putting other people first before myself. I was also diminishing myself to make my partner feel better about themselves. So there was many things that I was doing that were making me feel pretty awful, that were moving me further and further away from my authentic soul. And I really felt like my soul was dying. And that had nothing to do with the partners. Because if you look to a partner to make you feel better, that's fine if they're having a good day. But if they're not having a good day and you use them as a way to feel better yourself, well, then you're going to be a little bit resentful and angry. And It's like, well, it's not meant to be this way. You should love me. And that's a bit extreme, and I was never to that extent, but again, it's just to help you understand and get a point across. And so it's okay. I'm spending this time really getting to know me. As much as I was single for about 8 years between my first and second marriage, a lot of that time was taken up of doing a lot of healing work and learning a lot of the spiritual work that I do now. But in the back of my mind, it was like, I really want to be in a relationship, and I really want a partner, but I don't have that now. And I don't know whether it's a hormonal thing because I've gone through menopause now. I've gone through men on pause. So, and that's probably got nothing to do with it at all. But it's I'm constantly always looking for different ways to understand my behaviours and understand why I do things in life. But since I've gone through menopause, it's like I've stepped from the mother energy, as in maiden mother crone or maiden mother wise woman, and I've stepped into that wise woman chapter now. And as much as I didn't have children, but certainly I mothered my partners and I mothered many people around me, and I was a full-on rescuer at the beginning of my spiritual journey. So the mothering instinct was there, but that's all gone now because I've realised that that's a judgment. That's me looking at someone saying, you need to be looked after, or you need to, I can just nurture you and bring these beautiful things out in you, and that's my job, is to help you become your potential. But that's not anyone's job to do. No one's been placed on this earth to make me happy, and I have not been placed on this earth to make anyone else happy. So it's just this little reminder, and this is what's come up for me, that whenever I look at someone and think, oh, I could help them to heal, that's a judgment. And so my job now is to really just know that everyone is who they are, wherever they are. I don't know their backstory. It's not my place to judge anyone. But if anybody wants help from me, if they feel so inclined to connect with me, I will always help you to empower yourself. Because when we have that empowerment, when we feel centered within ourselves, we'll never feel the need to take anything from anyone else. Then you start from that beautiful neutral space and create these beautiful magical moments with other people. Now, I'm not saying I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and things spin my head around still and split me in two, and I want to throw something at the television. So, but for the majority of the time, I'm much more balanced than I was, and I will also stop and ask myself why I'm being triggered. I may not actually know. I may not actually get the answer in that moment, but just the fact that I've asked the question, the answer is on its way. So that was a big light beings. So, yes. So that's what's happening in the moment. I just need to tune in to the authentic me, and then I will never feel alone, and I will never feel the need to fill my life up with coping mechanisms. So, moving into the future. So this is the timeline that I'm on at this particular moment. So what we're talking about, the procrastination and maybe the overeating. Create space. So as I move into the future, I mean, everything happens now, but as I move along on this timeline, as I get better at learning to nourish myself instead of nourishing my behaviors and tuning into the authentic me, I now begin to create space for something new, for something new to come into my life. So a new way of being, a new way of moving through things so that I don't feel like I have to procrastinate or to reward myself with something nice to eat. So it is, and that's exactly what happens as you nourish yourself, as you tune into the authentic you. You will create this space, and it's also time. You create time where you seem to have more time to do things, because if we are worrying about stuff all the time, but if you're worrying about things, you're split from yourself and you're out of time and space. So what that means is that you have just placed yourself into the future or the past. If you're worrying about something you may have done in the past, or you're becoming anxious, which is always going to take you to the future, you're not present. You're not present now. And if you're not present now, where are you? Because your life is happening now. You know, how many people wake up, and I used to do this as well, and before I got out of bed, I'd run through all the things that I had to do in my day, and so basically I'd already lived my life in my head, and then I just had to drag my body through the day and actually do these things, which is actually not very spontaneous. It's not very exciting. It's just that over responsibility comes into play, and life is not great. And so, yeah, I'm not saying just wake up and just go wherever you want to go. Obviously, we have an idea of how the day is going to unfold and the things that we need to get done and the responsibilities that we have. But it's like, don't take your head and live the whole thing, because you're not leaving space for anything magical to happen, or for you to be inspired to do it a different way that will get it done twice as quick. So that's what this card is meaning. So it's just, as you really connect with you, as you come back into that present moment, you actually create more space and you create more time to do what it is that you need to do in your day. If you're in the future or in the past, you're not present. And if you're not present, where are you? So that's just something to think about. That's my little reading today. That's for me and might be for you as well. And so the overall healing is whispers. And what I might do is just read that card out. So this is about listening to the whispers in me. There's also, I'm not quite sure if you can see that, there's the Sri Yantra pattern here, which are all the triangles. And obviously I need reminding because I have the Sri Yantra here. So I'll explain what that is in a tick. So I've just got two reminders of something that I have to understand about myself for the healing. So tune into your soul voice. So the light being's already telling me that anyway. Your mind and heart are expanding to hear your soul whispers. You are or will soon find it easier to interpret and understand the vibes of your soul through how you feel. And this is as much for you. If you're listening to this reading, this is for you as well. Open the door to soul whispers by feeling appreciative. Close the door by feeling judgmental. And so judgment will also take you out of the present moment. The messages are always there, even if you are not receiving them. Practice feeling soul vibes to clarify your intuition and psychic senses. Just like we know a dog can hear sounds that we can't, your intuition interprets waves and impulses outside of your conscious awareness. This card is also prompting you to take notice of your dreams. When you are asleep, you cease conscious thought and resistance, making it easier for you to receive soul transmissions. So if you embrace the messages that come through your dreams, you will invite more of the same. If you don't like a dream, see it as a sign to shift your focus or change a belief. Now, Sri Yantra, I'm sure I wrote about it in here. I thought I wrote it on that card. Let me just, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Sri Yantra, which is the triangles going up and down, so it's same as this here. I interpret that as the masculine and the feminine all coming together. So the masculine and the feminine doesn't mean, it's not gender roles. It is the masculine aspect is the sun, the feminine aspect is the moon. The moon represents that darkness. We see the moon at night. So the feminine aspect, the yin, is very much about what are we creating. We've got to go deep within ourselves to create things in the darkness. So meaning that in the dark velvety matrix of this beautiful night, you can start to create new pearls of manifestation. So you can think of that as like the quantum field. And then the masculine aspect, the actioning aspect, the sun, it's like a sun shines light on something and starts to bring it into the physical so that we can then see it in the physical and decide whether we like it or we don't like it. We get to play with it, we get to cuddle it, or do whatever it is that we want to do with whatever it is that we want to manifest, because there's no right or wrong with anything. So it's just a little bit of a reminder. And of course, there's lots of triangles. All these triangles are coming together and forming. And so it's a little bit of a reminder of, for me, that's what the way that I need to remember to manifest and create. It's to use both of those aspects of myself. So not just trying to action everything into being. I get a thought in my mind, and then it's like, right, okay, what do I have to do? What do I need to do? Without consulting the yin part of me, the feminine part, to go right inside and feel actually what feels right for me. What is the right path for me to what are the next steps for me to take? How does it feel? Instead of just trying to action it all into being. It is just it's just a reminder of bringing both aspects of ourself together, which creates the whole as well. So I've waffled on a bit about that today, but that's okay. You get to understand, you get to actually, I'm manifesting my process that goes on in my head. And so you get to see some of that and realize that even though I love my work, I channel, and when I'm working with clients, I'm obviously very focused and I'm channeling their work. But for most of the other time, I'm moving through life. I'm asking questions. I'm trying to understand what is going on. And something came to me the other day that when I was a child, it came to me when that person asked me why I was still single. And I thought, as a child, I was such a curious kid. I was a very quiet child, observing, but very curious. And I can remember when I would cry, I would run to the mirror to see what I looked like when I was crying. And it's not that it was all head-based or anything like that. It was just, I was really curious that my body was doing these things. And so what does it look like? Why am I doing it? That's just me, the scientist in me, I suppose, because that's what science is. It's about questioning and observing. That part of me that was just curious about anything in life. And I really haven't changed. I'm still that way. Obviously, I don't run to the mirror now to watch myself cry. But maybe I need to, because I might see it from a different perspective then. So to end this, I just talking about the different perspective. When we talk about everything being in the eternal moment and we are all as one, think about it this way, that there's this beautiful sphere in the middle of everything. And it is this, it is everything. It is all of us. It is the oneness that is there. And then you have all of these beautiful rays that flow out, these billions and billions and billions of rays, which are all the individual aspects of the one. And that's us. And coming back to the analogy of the forest and the trees, when everything is contained in the one, it can't see itself. It may have had a thought of, oh, I wonder, who am I? What am I? And poof, everything came into existence. And obviously this is just me bantering here. This isn't truth. This is just my perception. And all of these rays are ways to see the one through a different view, through a different perception. And so it's just something to think about as we finish up. So the eternal moment, eternity, and the oneness is just all contained there. And we are all we're all standing on the outside of the forest in order to see the trees, in order to see a different perspective. And every perspective is needed. So you have so much worth, you have so much beauty and wonderment, and your ideas, everything about you is needed. Now, I did say I was going to choose a Secret Language of Darkness card. So we'll choose one as so we've got Whispers. That was the healing part. So I'm going to choose, oh, Forgiveness has just popped out there. So I'm just going to choose a clarifying card for that, or a companion card for that. So this card is about the overarching, the overall healing that needs to occur, that I may need to look at to stop the procrastination or the overeating or whatever you're asking a question about today. Okay, so here we go. Compassion. So I'm only laughing because I'm not always compassionate with myself, always compassionate with everyone else. I will always see everyone else's point of view, but I cannot be not great compassionate with myself. So compassion is co-creating space for passionate inclusion. So there you go, creating space. So in that space, I also have to remember to include my passions and just be kind to me. And if you see that, there's a beautiful rose at the beginning, at the middle of all of that, all of those light beings. And it just reminds me of what I was just talking about, the eternal moment of oneness. And these are all the perceptions of the rose, of the one, of the eternal moment. And we need to be compassionate about that. So I'm just going to read that out and then I'll finish up and hope that that helped you, especially in these times when things seem to be a bit difficult, because right now it's like all the beautiful things in the world and all the awful things in the world are all smashing together and just creating all of this chaos. But it needs to be looked at. It needs to be healed. Just like I'm talking about us doing this on a micro level, this will actually help us on a macro level as well, to realize that systems and cultures, and well, not so much cultures, but systems and the way we go about things needs to just shift slightly so we can all find compassion for each other. Compassion. Your heart is expanding into a fuller acceptance of yourself and others, thus broadening your experiences of emotion and feeling. Your capacities for kindness, charity, empathy, and sympathy are increasing. This will raise your awareness of any prejudicial, I can't speak, patterns. Should you find yourself drifting into any of those past patterns, confront them with gentle compassion. Rather than turning away, move toward your response with curiosity, kindness, and love. Practice compassion towards yourself by acknowledging your learned reactions and how you are now creating habits of thought that are aligned with your expanded consciousness. To be compassionate is to co-create with care, kindness, and passion. Observe those around you and how they are feeling. Return to your compassionate centre as needed. It is a calm and steady home from which you can accept yourself and others without judgment. Honour your experiences and welcome lasting healing. So there you go. Something wonderful to end on, even though it feels like they're all saying the same thing, just in different ways, which is what I was saying before, that we need all these different perceptions to give us this rounded wisdom. And always remember that wisdom means that you can talk about your past experiences without them being triggered. You're talking about them from a neutral space, so you've actually elicited, that's not the best word, but you've discovered the wisdom within these experiences. If you talk about things and they trigger you and you find yourself judging them, you are yet to find the wisdom. So just go easy on yourself, and thank you so much for being here today and going on this little journey with me today. And I hope to see you very soon. And as always, be kind, be curious, and dream big.